Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Uniquely Unqualified Podcast, Ep.9. Today is Wednesday, March 11th, 2026. We actually have a lot that I want to get to, a lot to talk about. We're going to get into a bunch of stuff with Iran, a couple things regarding the Democrats, war, funding, etc. We'll talk about some UFOs and CNN screwing up again. But before we get into all of that, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out as I grow this channel. I would appreciate it. Even if you don't want to watch the content, subscribe anyway. And everything will go to the bottom of your algorithm. And the most you'll see of me is just if I post a new video. So please, again, like and subscribe. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the Iranian women's soccer team in Australia. So I'm sure that folks know that the Iranian women's soccer team, when they were supposed to be singing the Iranian national anthem, and they refused. So, what does that mean? I apologize. I ran out a little bit of time, but I was going to look up the name of the Olympic wrestler, the Iranian Olympic wrestler that they executed in Iran. So an Iranian citizen, an Olympic world-class elite wrestler, star in the country of Iran. That government killed that star wrestler because he spoke out about the regime in Iran. He with dislike. So the Iranian government had him executed. So I just forget his name at the moment. Apologize for running out of time and not being able to get that to you. Anyway, so what is the issue with the Iranian women's soccer, football, as the rest of the world calls it, with them not singing their national anthem? Well, literally, it means death. Imprisonment at the very least, but certainly death. So right now, I believe that there are 5 or 6 team members of the Iranian women's soccer team that are getting approved asylum visas to remain in Australia so that they don't go back to their country, their home country, and get beheaded. So, because that's what Iran's about. That's what Iran does to their citizens. There is a lot of bluster about how many people how many of their own citizens they've killed regarding the protests that they have had in recent months. You know, there's a whole bunch of Israeli-funded reports that are saying that the death toll that the Iranian regime has killed tens of thousands of their own people during these protests. However, I believe the most realistic number is somewhere more closer to about 5,000, potentially up to 10,000. But we don't actually know how many people the Iranian government have killed through their the protests and riots that were going on in Iran. And so, rightfully so, the Iranian women's soccer team doesn't sing the national anthem, the Iranian national anthem. After this happens, an Iranian official goes on television and states that the Iranian women's soccer team have therefore committed treason and they must be punished. So that's just for any of you folks that are, you know, full on, no reason at all, shouldn't be doing this stuff in Iran. Just understand that they whacked a world-class elite wrestler, super famous in the country, and they would definitely whack the whole Iranian female soccer / football team. So there was a little bit of pressure put under Australia to actually offer asylum for those footballers. And it does seem to be that it looks like 6 of them are going to get that asylum. So that's good. But just a little update there that Iran will definitely kill their own people, and their own athletes, regardless of how successful they are, the athletes, if they're not in lockstep with the religious ideology. You know, there's a reason why a whole bunch of other Gulf states are with the U.S. and Israel about attacking Iran. Iran is still very much Islamist, which is a more fundamental radical thing in Islam. There are Islamists that are plaguing Western Europe, but by and large, I would say that places or the people in Dubai, Qatar, Kuwait, they might be Islamic Muslims. However, kings and even dictators. However, they do know that there is a problem with radical Islam, and they know that the Ayatollah is a big proponent or doler of radical Islam. And so instead of having those radical people in charge in places like the UAE or Kuwait, they would rather have economic growth, cleanliness, law, and safety for their people, not a bunch of crazy radicals talking about blowing up the West. So just little something there. So I saw this today, which is quite disturbing. So the Strait of Hormuz, however you say it, there's many tankers and transport ships, many ships. Initially were refusing to go through the Strait of Hormuz for threat of violence. Would Iran be able to hit every ship if they go? No. However, the probability is high, and so the ship's insurance was being taken away from them if they were to travel through the Strait of Hormuz. So the ship captains basically were under Donald Trump putting a lot of pressure on these shipping companies to go through the Strait. You have to go through the Strait. It's safe. We got your back. Essentially, even though your freaking insurance company ain't going to cover you, the U.S. will back you. We'll back you and promise. And so today, one of the ships, I believe it was a Thai ship, was hit in the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran was claiming responsibility for that. I believe that there were 3 ships targeted. I don't know how many were hit in total. I do know that 1 was hit. I think we're kind of unclear on what its cargo was. Just because you're traveling through Iran or the Strait of Hormuz doesn't mean that you're carrying oil. It's just another shipping route that you go through. So we don't know exactly what was on that ship at this time that I'm recording this. But it does seem that, yes, Iran has hit a ship in the Strait of Hormuz. So, man, what is that going to do? These ships that were going through, because after Trump said, hey, just go through, don't stop the commerce. By the way, I don't believe anybody was killed on that ship. But these ships, after Trump said go through. I think if you watch any legacy media, you've probably seen, or I think you can even see it on X. You've seen the little transponder map of all the ships in and around the Strait of Hormuz. And so they'll get close to the Strait of Hormuz, and then all of a sudden their little transponder beacon, red, yellow, whatever color it is, boop, goes away. And you were seeing dozens of these little, boop, they go away, boop, they go away, and they're heading in directly for that bend in that Strait of Hormuz, and the transponder goes away, and then bloop, one turns back on the other side. And so in order to, and it is like a defensive cloaking tactic, I guess, turn your transponder off so nobody knows where you're at. And of course, those little, when you respond, or you touch or click on or whatever, basically ask what that transponder is. You can click on that on a screen in an office, whoever's running that, and then you can look up who owns the ship and what kind of cargo do they carry. Do they carry oil? Do they carry different goods? So anyway, that's what those ships were doing. They were turning their transponders on and off to avoid getting hit. So, however, it looks to be that Iran hit a ship. So, Iran was talking about putting mines in the Strait of Hormuz if anybody goes through. And so then the Trump administration identifies mine-laying boats and destroys, a few dozen of those. That's interesting to me because it's almost like the whole drug boat thing in Venezuela. They got 6 engines, blow it up, it's a drug boat. Only drug boats have 6 engines. Well, it's not necessarily only drug boats that have 6 engines. These people in these boats need to travel like pretty vast distances over the ocean. And so they'll have multiple engines with multiple gas tanks, and they will, I'm not saying that this is what they were doing. I'm not saying they were not drug boats. I'm just saying that also, these boat captains that have these 4 outboard motors or 6 outboard motors, they might be transporting goods as well. But what they'll do is they'll use 1 engine or 2 engines at a time, and they will go through their fuel supply like that because, maybe they can only get 100 to 120 miles, but they need to go 300. And so they'll stagger the use of their engines and the fuel consumption in order to get to make that distance. So I say that to say, how do we know that we were hitting mine-laying boats? That's all I got, is just a question, is how do we know? It could just be kind of indiscriminate. We're just gonna hit you. Could be that too. I don't know. Where was I going with that? I was going somewhere with that. It's lost. I guess I'll get it back at some point in time. It's back. So when you're dealing with Iran, as the weeks go on here, the initiated folks are going to notice actions that Iran is taking that would be against their economic and the world's economic it would be against their better interest. So, though Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz, owns it, controls whatever, monitors whatever it is, just in pure defiance of the West, our allies, their neighbors, Iran is willing to cause tremendous economic harm to themselves and anybody else doing trade in and around that area, regardless of their involvement in it, right? What the fuck does Thailand have to do with the US bombing Iran? The answer is nothing. They just launching rockets at boats. And so as we move forward through this conflict, war, whatever you want to call it, I think we're gonna see Iran and that radical religious regime expose themselves to what the U.S. with falling right into the U.S.'s hands, falling right into our hands with this. If you want the rest of the world or U.S. politicians to get behind the Trump administration and do this against Iran, let Iran fuck up bystander countries and their economy just because they're going through. So I think that's a big tell, because a mine in the water doesn't discriminate. It'll just explode no matter what hull hits it. It could be an American ship, it could be a Qatari ship, it could be a British ship, it could be a Thai ship, it could be a Malaysian ship, it could be a Chinese ship, it could be a Japanese ship, it could be anything. And it doesn't matter to the Iranian regime. This is the kind of pain they want to inflict on the Western world, on the economy, on our capitalist endeavors that we have around the world. So anyway, they're exposing themselves to be that radical, irrational player that you can't play ball with. We can't have you here. And I think that the bombing of this, when they hit this ship and laying mines, I think that's a big tell. And it doesn't get me on the side of doing this action that the U.S. has done. It does not get me on their side at all. However, it is very interesting to note that a lot of the rhetoric that's going around about how, the Iran's so dangerous, the Ayatollah, the IRGC, horrible. That does seem to be a pretty shitty move to just indiscriminately bomb or mine or rocket or whatever shipping vessels just so that they can prove their point. I know people that you look at them and you say, hey, this please don't block my car in the apartments, and then whoever else will go off and start talking about how it's not their fault that there's whatever, the bad analogy, scrap that. Anyway, so it's big tell. I find it very interesting, and I mentioned before about the whole death cult thing. That's kind of what one of these moves is. Just we'll take out the whole fucking thing with us if we go down, and that's what they're doing. Still no word from Mojtaba Khamenei. Still no word. Still don't know where he is. As far as we know, he's in a bunker at the bottom of a mountain somewhere. And if he wants to live, he's going to have to make some good decisions that not only benefit him and the West, but the rest of the world. And that means, what does Trump say? Cry uncle. I mean, they don't have anything to fight with. At this point, it would literally it's looking like this is just an unmitigated beat down. And that is what gets me to this next thing that seems to be causing a ruckus. So codes, I don't know how to pronounce it, QODS, is a large municipality, another city or whatever, just west of Tehran in Iran. And I believe that they have like a missile depot or a storage site or something like that. That was just hit with kind of one or two things. Either one of these 30,000 pound or 30,000 ton or some kind of bomb, that some kind of, mother of all bombs, what is it, PODS or penetrating something, where this thing can go like fucking hundreds and hundreds of feet into the earth and just make a massive explosion. So obviously a U.S.-Israel action there. But one thing there's a little bit of scuttlebutt about is I'm pretty sure like almost all bombs or explosives for that matter, if you're I'm pretty sure they all create something of a mushroom cloud, something. But apparently the detonation of this bomb has some folks speculating that this could have been a very small nuclear bomb. I would like to think not. Perhaps the explosion was so large because they already told you what's in that city, codes, in a missile depot. So if you're taking a giant 30,000 pound bomb that would, otherwise not have that kind of an explosion, well, if you're hitting hundreds of other bombs, then that's like an exponential equation, right? That's not linear. That's going to create a massive explosion. Now, what would it mean? I would pray to God that the U.S. would not be so fucking stupid to drop a nuclear weapon of any size anywhere. However, as I said, that guy Netanyahu is a really, 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 really bad guy. And he absolutely would drop a nuke of any kind on Iran right now. He would. So speculation whether or not that bomb in codes, however you say it, was nuclear. If it is, at what point do we address Israel? I understand war. I get it. We're a war. We not only are we a warlike country in the U.S., but we are a warlike species. I don't think I don't think human beings can ever become interplanetary because we destroy ourselves before we are able to get any kind of advancement. AI could become interplanetary because it doesn't have a heartbeat, a life, it just needs a power source. But as far as human beings being able to live peacefully together without destroying each other over markets and resources and land, until we stop doing that, we're never getting off this fucking planet. It's not going to happen. there's going to be something that comes up that destroys that possibility. So, at what point do we address Israel as if Israel is dropping nuclear bombs? Because that's a no-go. You can't do that. Because at what point does our affiliation with Israel and real, true blue humanitarian crimes and war crimes, at what point does that implicate the US in those exact same crimes because we're backing them up or we're funding them, right? It's called guilty by association, or you're known by the company you keep, right? So if this fucking Netanyahu prick is just willy-nilly dancing around doing whatever I want, I'm going to do whatever I want because I have a fucking lifelong goal to eradicate the Muslim world. I think that's what he's after. I think that guy is, I think you want to talk about evil. I think Netanyahu's an evil dude. I think that guy's a bad guy. Like a Bond villain bad guy. He is no bueno. I think Israel, the West, and the Gulf states would be in, you couldn't even calculate what a better position they would be in if that fucker wasn't in charge anywhere. I would like to correct something I said about the 2 weeks, about how Netanyahu has been saying since the 90s. They're 2 weeks away. I don't know if that's accurate, but he has been saying 3 to 5 years or 1 to 2 years, potentially months is what he's said. But he's said that since like 92. Since 1992, he's been saying that. He wrote a fucking book 3 years after he claimed that they're 3 to 5 years away from having nuclear capabilities. And he wrote the same shit in a book that he sold 3 years later. This guy is unhinged. He's off his rocker. Like, this guy wants war. Here's an unpopular thought that I had. This guy, Netanyahu, is no better than the infamous Jewish enemy, Adolf Hitler. Because if he's running around wanting to wipe Islam off the map, what the fuck was Hitler trying to do? You know, two wrongs don't make a right. You don't have to turn the other cheek. Don't do that. However, the destruction of Gaza was what we consider in demolition in the military as overkill. Way too much. And that guy had a plan. He wanted to fuck that whole thing up so that no one can return to their homes, to displace these people permanently, if not dead, far away from him. Evil fucker. So I wouldn't put it past him if that was a nuke that Israel launched. It was either a giant bomb coming from a US B-2, bunker buster style, Moab, whatever the hell you call it, hitting a missile depot in a city west of Tehran, or Netanyahu's launching nukes. We'll see. At which point I call on the American government to cease all action in the Middle East and cut ties completely with Israel. completely and start turning their sights onto Israel and at least the Netanyahu cabinet. At least just that guy. If you want regime change anywhere, get that fucker out. The fact that he's involved in this is stirring up so much shit. That scares me, man. That is not a good friend. That is not a good ally. This guy is gonna drag your ass down into deep water until you collapse yourself and his enemy. And then who's in charge? Him. What a great idea. Let's be so fucking horrible when it comes to this that because of the US's involvement, both support at home and abroad will completely collapse because Netanyahu's such a fucking psycho. And then he's got the Muslim world, which is in complete shambles. And so American allies turn against them. The Muslim world is gone, all because Netanyahu's doing what the fuck he wants, dropping nukes, making everybody look bad. But then he comes out on top. That's some James Bond supervillain stuff. So another target in Iran, Bank Sepa. Sorry, I don't speak this language. So was their data center was hit in a strike. Why is that important? Well, apparently because that is the bank that the salaries of the military, IRGC, and the Iranian regime at large gets their salaries from. And so the US and Israel have taken out their main data center. They didn't take out their gold reserves. They didn't take out, the report says the bank's data center, not assumably branches of the bank. So I would like to see at this point, I would really appreciate this whole thing to stop. So Iran, you have no bargaining chips. You lost your bargaining chips the moment you lost your air superiority over your nation and your navy. You lost the whole kit and caboodle when that happened. And now Iran, you're doing the exact thing that America has been touting on our fucking news channels forever, is that you are a radical, evil, irrational regime. And now you're bombing ships in your own strait, right? Cutting off your nose to spite your face. That hurts you economically as well. So I would like for Iran and the Iranian regime to say, all right, what the fuck do you guys want? We're done, we get it, you proved your point. What do we want? The problem is that this Moshtaba guy, he's got gray hair. That guy, he's fucked either way. He either agrees with Trump and then his radical cabinet kills him, or he doesn't agree with Trump and the Trump administration kills him. Good play. Anyway, Iran, please. I think this whole point is to get you and your nation and your leaders up to speed with 2026 and the world economy. Social growth, human rights, shit like Just give it up. Just give it up. It's over. Because if you don't give up, it's just going to keep happening. And then everybody's going to look like the bad guy. And you'll still be, Iran, if they keep fucking around, Tehran is going to look like the Gaza Strip. And then, oh my goodness, how bad the Jews and the Americans are going to look. Anyway, well, the Jews, how bad Israel and America are going to look. Israel is looking pretty bad, in my opinion, man. They've been launching false flags. There was something about a fucking missile hit a school and a couple other places in other countries. And these other countries are saying, hey, we got hit by an American-made bomb, and the only place in the region that has those bombs is Iran, or is Israel. How is it that Iran bombed us when the U.S. when they don't use U.S. missiles? So it seems like Israel is pulling false flags. And I'll harken back to that nuke thing. I wouldn't put it past this psycho. Netanyahu, I'll just say it. I bet he's fucking doing this. I'll bet he's doing it. I'll reserve on the nuclear strike thing. But those false flags, all day. All day. I bet that piece of shit is bombing other countries, coming straight from Israel with U.S. equipment, bombing other countries, trying to blame it on Iran, hitting Saudi Arabia so that Saudi jumps even further in. This is getting crazy. This is getting messy. The U.S. My kid's daycare person was right. Just cut it off. Cut it off. Or, where the hell is somebody to, everybody was trying to whack Donald Trump, but he is nowhere near the radical that Netanyahu is. Like that guy, Netanyahu is a fucking problem, people. I'm saying this like from like if I was that guy's neighbor, I would be uncomfortable to be his neighbor. I would want to not be his neighbor. If he moved in next door, I would move out. That guy, I think we're gonna see before this Trump administration is over, I think that we're gonna see a Netanyahu dictatorship in Israel. Because the whole region is going to be embroiled in conflict, and that's kind of the way that he can stay in power, even though this is like the second or third time he's been prime minister of Israel. Keeps coming back, he wants more. Oh, I am the only one that knows how to do this right. I am the only one. This guy's got to go. So yeah, Israel is committing false flag operations around the area, bombing other countries to entice them to get into further military conflict with Iran. Crazy fucker. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I wanted to say something about the Democratic Party real quick. Right now, the Democrats are, orange man bad because Iran. But these are the same fucking people that still have Ukrainian flags on their on their X page or their Facebook page. So, that's a group of folks that is rules for thee, not me. Remember Gavin Newsom? No, you're not allowed to go out to eat. You got to wear a mask everywhere. And then he gets caught at this restaurant called the French Laundry, sitting under a chandelier with no mask on. And he lies his ass off, saying, we were outside. No, the fuck you weren't. No, you weren't. It's people like that are rules for thee, not me. And so that's what this whole, I guess kind of my complaint about the whole Democrat issue when it comes to this conflict is they'll get behind destroying other parts of the world, no problem, so long as it enriches them personally and they thought of it. But if they don't get one or both of those things, they don't want to have anything to do with it. They'll say that, it's, Trump bad. Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. These people are, my God, they're awful. And, I just saw Alaskan Republican representative stand up and say no to the SAVE Act. I'm not going to get into the SAVE Act. I am for the SAVE Act. I am for it. I have not read everything through it, but the Democrat rhetoric and the purchasing of Republican Senate seats, like purchasing their vote to not be for this. And you watch these fucking people, just storm as fast as they can back to their office down the hallway. Meanwhile, the reporter's got a mic and they're like, hey, why aren't you for the Save America Act? Don't you want blah, blah? And these representatives look at them and, cuss at them and say, no comment. And they just want to get out of the camera as fast as possible. If you want to look guilty of doing something wrong, man, do that. So this Alaskan fucking lady says that apparently Alaskans are too goddamn stupid and poor to call the Social Security Administration and say, hey, I need a copy of my birth certificate, please. And the Social Security Administration says, give me my $29, and then 2 weeks later, you'll get your fucking birth certificate. If you don't got $29, your parents do, somebody does. Somebody that wants you to vote will say, here's $29, go get your birth certificate so you can vote. I would. If I would, that means that there's a whole bunch of other people out there that would make sure that somebody had their $29 to make a phone call and get their birth certificate. These folks that are saying that the SAVE Act is going to disaffect, no. It's literally going to expose I'm not saying how much, it's just going to expose a big chunk of voting fraud, of which I think that there is a lot more than anybody is willing to either report on, investigate, or admit to. I think that there is a lot more voting fraud that goes on than anybody. And it drives me nuts when I hear people say, oh, well, I just haven't seen the evidence. Just because you haven't seen the evidence doesn't mean the evidence doesn't exist. So anyway, so it's interesting to me that the Democrats, I really do think they look really, really bad in the eyes of the American people. And I think that it's legacy media and groupthink that is keeping them going. And some amount of money from some shadow corner of the room that's influencing their defiance. It's not even just defiance against Trump, it's defiance against the American people. Why? Well, part of the DHS shutdown includes FEMA. So the Midwest just got smacked by tornadoes. People have lost houses. There's messes everywhere. People need a place to go. And there's I'm not saying FEMA was a reliable anything, but now there's no FEMA. Now there's no cleanup. Insurance companies are underwater. They're not rebuilding homes. they only take care of so much cleanup. They can't. The reason why FEMA is important for places that get hit hard with snow load, hurricanes, or tornadoes, an insurance company will pay if your house burns down, or a dump truck comes flying through your front window and takes out your kitchen and bathroom. An insurance company will pay for you to go stay at a hotel or an Airbnb. But if the whole goddamn town is gone, there's not enough hotels. And so we need FEMA to put up some tents with some cots and a couple of things to cook in. You need that. And so now the Democrats are looking so bad because this wave of tornadoes has come through, and they won't reopen funding for DHS, which FEMA is covered under DHS funding. And so now parts of the Midwest are just trashed, and who knows? Who knows who's going to clean it up? People don't do shit for free. Even if you go out and pick up sticks and throw it in the back of your pickup, take it to the recycle place or the dump or wherever, you got to pay me to dump this shit. So this, I'm really, Republicans piss me off. A lot of moderates piss me off. Libertarians, not so much. There's factions of the Libertarian Party. But these people that are claiming to be Democrats are about the worst human beings I could think of at this moment. And they're all doing it just in defiance of Donald Trump. And they think that they can spin some bullshit about how, Trump isn't doing this, Trump isn't going to do that. Well, it's all Trump's fault, Trump's fault, Trump's fault, Trump's fault. Well, a lot of that, it's all Trump's fault is dropping off because, one thing my late father used to say, he wasn't right about a lot, but he was right about this. Time, and I don't even know where the hell he got this from. This could be some old saying. I never read it in a book. Maybe I did. I don't know. Time will either endorse you or expose you. And so since the Democrats have wanted to go through with some kind of a government shutdown for bargaining chips, that whole, it's all Trump's fault narrative is starting to fall off a cliff. So they're getting exposed. They're not being endorsed. Their little groupthink might be telling them that they're being endorsed. But by and large, now we got an emergency that we need to pay people to go take care of. We've got to get this funding restored. We have to. A tornado isn't Donald Trump's fault. No matter how much. There are people out there that will say, did you see that tornado that Trump sent to Missouri? Oh, what an evil orange man. I bet there's conspiracy wackos out there that say, Trump has control over weather machines and it's his fault that a tornado hit the Midwest. Never mind that tornado season is a thing twice a year? And so this is the Democrats they're gonna have to stop fucking around, methinks. I don't think that if they keep this kind of positioning up, I think that they're going to do really, really bad in the midterms. Because there's a whole bunch of people in the Midwest that are going to learn, like, why the fuck isn't FEMA here? Why don't we have tents? Why don't we have a bed? Why don't we have anywhere to go? Oh, because the Democrats refuse to budge on any of this Department of Homeland Security funding. Why? Because Orange Man bad, and they want every goddamn illegal immigrant in this country casting a vote. I really kind of thought that that was not necessarily all the way true. But again, time is either going to endorse you or expose you. And I really do think that they're getting exposed. I think the Democrats are getting exposed. You want to sit there and say, we're going to make it an impeachable offense to remove funding from the Ukrainian effort against Russia? Because that's true. They knew that Donald Trump was going to be president months. They knew that Donald Trump was going to be president the moment that they swapped Biden out for Harris. And then the moment they announced Harris and she opened her mouth, they said, shit, he's winning. He's winning. No matter what you saw on the TV or any news outlets, the big D Democratic Party knew that they were fucked, and the only thing they could do is just put lipstick on a pig and say, no, it's good, I swear, we're the best. Look, see, isn't she great with this wonderful smile and this horrible track record? Isn't she great? I think that these people in the Midwest, a lot of these folks that, that would have otherwise voted for a Democrat, once they find out that their city can't be put back together because the Democrats are Orange Man bad, they'll change their tune. A smart voter will change their tune. Look at all the people that changed their tune. People in tech, influencers. When you've got lifelong Democrats like Elon Musk coming out and directly opposing the Democratic Party because of what they have become and the bullshit rhetoric that they want to fill your ear with, and it's all not true. So keep it up. But yeah, I think I would just like to see all this stop. I would like to see it all stop. I was checking in with Fox News last night. Oh my God, what a dumpster fire that place is. I couldn't believe it. Like, just the fucking long stroke they were doing for the Trump administration about this Iran thing. It's like, you gotta be kidding me, man. It was like watching a news thing from back in, late 2001. Initial invasion of Iraq. It was like I was back to being, before I joined the military. It almost made me cry just to see, like, oh my God, we're really that far behind on everything, and to ourselves. It's really sad. Well, let's lighten the mood a little bit, and apologies. That little sniffle cough that I had on Monday turned into me being freaking miserable yesterday. And then I woke up today and I was relatively fine. Still got a little bit of a sniffle and a cough, but I have no idea what that was. Just came in like a bad fart and fucked me up for a day, and now I'm largely on the mend. So Donald Trump said the other day that he's going to release UAP files, unidentified aerial phenomenon, otherwise known in the before time as UFOs. There are people that think that because the administration is doing something, I don't know if it's the bare minimum or less than the bare minimum, but they are releasing some shit, you know. I'm not pleased with the Epstein file situation, but we got something. It ain't nothing. It's nowhere near enough, but it's not nothing. So Trump says that he's going to release shit about aliens or non-human biologics, as a phrase that Jeremy Corbell, filmmaker and passionate UFO enthusiast, would say, non-human biologics. So here's what I think about this. Fucking get out of here with this shit, man. Like, just stop. My whole life, you know, George Knapp said. So George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell have a podcast called Weaponized. I started listening to it when it first came out. I think I listened to it for like the first 100 episodes or so. But George Knapp said so Jeremy Corbell is really, really ambitious. He's like really excited, like aliens are real. This is a real thing. This is a real thing. I know it. I've got the proof. Blah, blah, blah. You know. Well, so did George Knapp back in the day. And, you know, George Knapp said on the Weaponized podcast that, you know, even though he's very enthusiastic about the subject, he doesn't think that we'll ever see disclosure. Because all of the decades that he has been involved in this subject, every 3 to 5 years, the government comes out and says something about, we're gonna show you the aliens, and then they never do. So I think that's what's gonna happen here. If it doesn't, holy shit. But, I mean, come on, don't we all already know? Like, why do we need the government to come out and tell us? I mean, to be nice, you know, so that at least, you know, this government controlling things. This is just bunk. You know, especially if in the zeitgeist, that, you know, these government officials know that everybody's talking about this shit. They know that we know. So just fucking, it's like, you know, yeah, we hear a bunch on comms, and it seems like they know. So, yeah, just show us. You know, the Tic Tac, the gimbal, the Go Fast, that's all out there. Apparently there's some insane footage of shit that they've seen in the water. I got stories around here, man. Almost everybody in this town that I live in has a UFO story. Anyway, man, I hope so. You know, I would absolutely like confirmation, right? It's one thing to know, and you don't know, you believe, right? So confirmation would give you the ability to know, I guess. And I believe that there are other intelligences floating around up there around us. I believe that. I believe that there are intelligences that are jumping in and out of our oceans. I believe that, but I don't know. You know, I had an interesting experience one time. My son was working at this McDonald's, like, I don't know, 2 miles away from where we lived. And it was wintertime in Boise, Idaho. So 7 p.m., it's dark. Well, I leave our neighborhood, I leave my street, I go to the main street that takes you out of the subdivision, and then that puts you on the main road. And at 7 p.m. in Boise, Idaho, on whatever day this was, a Tuesday or a Thursday or whatever, especially on this road called 5 Mile, there's always somebody tootling around. So I get to the 5 Mile and there was nobody there. Easy, take a left, boom, go to the intersection. Now I'm at Franklin and 5 Mile. Franklin and 5 Mile is a relatively large intersection, and there's always somebody there. Not tonight, so it's dark. There isn't headlights in front of me that I could see down the road. There was nothing coming up behind me. There was nothing to the left, and there was nothing to the right. This was weird, what a phenomenon this was. I swear to you, I'm telling the truth. So I take a right-hand turn right there, and I look in my rearview mirrors, and I'm seeing that there's no lights behind me. There's nobody coming forward. You know, I was at a red light, but I just had to turn right, so I didn't need to stop for any period of time. So as I'm driving down this road to go to this McDonald's to pick my kid up, the driver's side of the road goes down into this lower, like just a lower part of the land where they've got some farmland. Not a lot, but I think the water table is really high right there. And so that's a section of the town where they can't build anything on because the water table's too high. You'd have to do some wacky, crazy drainage shit, and there's a lot of conservation in that area. And so I don't think that you can ever build anything in that spot. So it's just this big empty fields. So I'm driving, and I shit you not, I start seeing something in the dark. Now at the time I was driving a Volvo SUV, high end, and so the windows were tinted, and so when it's dark out and you're looking out your window, it's like extra dark. And so, but I'm seeing these lights kind of lift up in front of me as I'm going down, and I'm looking at it, and I'm looking straight, still no headlights, no tail lights coming at me or leaving, nothing behind me, and I'm watching this thing just kind of lift up from this lower part of the land, and it starts to move very slowly in a form or a figure, lights. I didn't roll down my damn window. There was nobody on the road. I didn't stop and get out of the car. But I watched this thing as I drove down the road, and I'm looking in my side view mirror as I watch this thing through my side view mirror as I pass it go up and out. Which leads me to, I think, the reason why you don't ever really see great UFO footage, especially up close or something like that, is because when you are actually beholding, you are in awe. Your brain is just, oh my God, what am I looking at? Your brain isn't going to, get the camera, babe. So I think that's why, because I even told myself, pull over. And I didn't do it. Like my brain wouldn't make me do it. And so, yeah, that's what I think. I got another story when I was in Afghanistan, but I'd rather err on the side of exhaustion and maybe a little bit of like hallucination versus actually seeing something in Afghanistan. But this one day, one evening, going to pick my son up, I definitely saw something that, and again, I was the only car for who knows how far away on these two very busy roads. And at this time, they would be very busy. The only one. And I saw this. So, anyway, Donald Trump, if you're gonna do it, drop them all, be done with it. Nothing would collapse if the common folk knew that there were aliens or non-human biologics or, some shit from another planet that flies around down here, comes on vacation here, checks us out, whatever. So civilization wouldn't collapse. I think governments are so fucked up. They really don't have any faith in those people with that kind of authority. They really think their shit don't stink. They really think they know better. It's crazy. It's crazy. So last thing that I'll get to is CNN takes down a post. They get in trouble, and this is kind of what I mean by the jig is up. Just we've got to stop this shit. The two young Islamists, Muslims in New York that threw IEDs at a protest. CNN, somebody in that organization, super lefty, clear, obviously, because the statement was just fucking retarded, claims that the two young men throwing bombs into a crowd of white protesters, those bombs were meant for Zorhan Mamdani. No, they fucking weren't. What would drive any figure of authority to assume that people are so fucking dumb that radical Muslims would try to take out their brethren when clearly they threw these bombs into a protest where there was no Zorhan Mamdani. It was in front of where he stays. I guess what would that be, the mayor's mansion or some shit? They could have gotten a hell of a lot closer to the mansion. They could have, if they wanted to get that guy, then they could have pretended to be protesters and been closer. But there is some knuckleheads at CNN that, man, these outlets are still trying to push this shit. They're still trying to push this shit, man. No, there was a fucking terrorist attack in New York City by young Muslim men intended to harm American citizens protesting. That is what happened. And I think 2 people in CNN have gotten in trouble over this. And when are we going to see some accountability? When are you going to see some people get fired? When are you going to, I think the rot in CNN, you can't just replace the head. You can't. You gotta wipe that whole thing out. You gotta wipe it all out and rebuild it, because it's just rotten to the core. It's pretty wild, man. And some fucking idiot is gonna, they saw that and they said, oh, see, CNN said that the fucking Muslims were trying to kill the other radical Muslim. Jesus Christ. Those Americans, those people are retarded, I will say. For those people, yes, UAP disclosure would ruin their world. But it's, luckily, they're a very, very small percentage, luckily. Anyway, you guys, happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate all the views. I'm watching it. I'm paying attention. I'm noticing that people are watching. Thank you. We're gonna shift. I'm gonna mold this into something a little bit different. It's gonna be really cool as long as I'm seeing growth, like I said. So we will come to you guys on Friday. Again, please like and subscribe. It really helps me. It gives me a lot of motivation to keep going. And I love seeing my views on my ticker go up. It's fun. It's really fun. This is fun. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy sitting in a room talking to a camera. It's great. So please like and subscribe. Uniquely Unqualified Podcast. We'll see you on Friday.